the top 5 injuries in week 6 of the NFL. So we're going to be going through this, so make sure to like this video, and if you want more NFL content news like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that red button down below. So getting into the top 5, at number 5 we have Marvin Harrison's Jr. injury with the Cardinals wide receiver leaving the game versus the Packers after the contact to the head. Now, the NFL's concussion woes continue this weekend, with multiple players experiencing contact to their heads in Sunday's early slate. 2 receivers, Chris Olave and Marvin Harrison Jr., were the subjects of these hits, and both exited their respective games after the fact that it was the Saints pass catcher who went down first in the opening quarter of New Orleans' contest against the Bucs. Then, Harrison Jr. went down after an incompletion versus Green Bay, as his head went directly into a defender's thigh. He was quick to get to his feet, but stumbled and fell down, promoting medical staffers to take him off the field and into the tent for evaluation. Here's everything to know about Harrison Jr.'s injury, including why the Cardinals receiver left Sunday's game versus the Packers against a head-on collision. Now, down on over 2 scores midway through the second quarter, Arizona's quarterback Kyler Murray tried to hit Harrison Jr. with a fresh set of downs from the Cardinals' 22. The receiver was unable to pull it in, and he went down headfirst into linebacker Isaiah McDuffie's thigh, and he was sent immediately into the tent before heading to the locker room to be evaluated for a concussion. Shortly after the evaluation, Harrison Jr. was ruled out for the remainder of the game with a concussion. Now, getting into injury number 4 was Jordan Mailata injury, and the Aussie NFL star exited the game early with a hamstring issue. Now, when it comes to Jordan, Philadelphia Eagles fans will be facing a nervous wait this week after star left tackle Jordan Mailata was forced to leave their Week 6 clash against the Cleveland Browns midway through the third quarter. Mailata appeared hobbled as he left the field, with the team later revealing the Australian had suffered a hamstring injury. While the Eagles were able to grit out a 4-point win over the Browns in his absence, there are fears that Mailata could be facing a decent spell on the sideline. Mailata is confirmed to have suffered a hamstring injury, which saw him miss the last quarter and a half of the Eagles' win Monday. While the severity of the injury is not yet known, he was seen leaving the field on crutches at the end of the game, sporting a leg sleeve. Now, he was helped off the field during the third quarter with a significant limp, needing 2 people to assist him. Depending on the nature of the injury, Mailata could be facing up to 2 months away. A grade 1 hamstring strain requires around 3 weeks to fully recover, while a grade 2 can take up to 8 weeks. With Mailata out, the Eagles' famously solid offensive line will quickly need reinforcements. He was replaced by Quenton Johnson for the remainder of their win against the Browns, but the team may consider their options considering the magnitude of this injury, as they move to 3-2 and stay firmly in playoff contention. With week 7 almost here, we got our money on some of the NFL games, and one of the picks that I do like is actually New Orleans Saints to beat the Denver Broncos. So we are going to be putting $100 on this bet, and we actually do this through BetUS, one of my favorite betting platforms out there. Guys, when it comes to BetUS, you got to remember they do 150% bonus on your first deposit and then 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000 with code YouTube150. So, we're going to place this bet right here, and we have a win amount of $90.91, which I think is fantastic on BetUS. So like I mentioned, guys, definitely go check out BetUS. 150% bonus on your first deposit and then 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000 with code YouTube150. So definitely go check them out. Now, getting into injury number 3, we're going to be talking about James Conner, and this one was Cardinals versus the Packers after an apparent ankle injury. Now, the Cardinals' injury woes this season continued Sunday when the team lost 2 valuable offensive skill players to injury against the Packers. First, it was Marvin Harrison Jr. who went down what would eventually be determined as concussion, which we talked about, and after the half, another Arizona player came off the field. This time, it was running back James Conner, who was a second leading rusher for the team on the day at this time of his injury. So, it hasn't been looking very good for the Cardinals when it comes to injuries, and here's everything you need to know about the Cardinals running back Conner, including why he left Sunday's game versus the Packers with an apparent ankle injury. Now, during the third quarter, those watching the intra-conference clash were quick to notice Conner's absence from the Cardinals' opening offensive drive, with the team down 24-10. He was eventually spotted getting his ankle taped, which was his right ankle as well, doing some light exercises on the sidelines, clearly attempting to loosen himself up and re-enter the contest for the remainder of the game. Conner did come back on for a couple of plays, but fumbled on his second snap. He did not return after that play. The Cardinals never announced an official injury for Conner, so it's unclear if this absence was due to an injury, fumble, or score. The Cardinals were down by multiple touchdowns at the time of Conner's fumble. So it hasn't been looking very good for the Cardinals, as they have lost James Conner and also Marvin Harrison Jr. So there may need to be replacements on the way, and they definitely need to figure this out quick, because it hasn't looked very, very good with them when it comes to the multiple injuries that the Cardinals do face. Now, getting into injury number 2, we're going to be talking about Quentin Johnson. So the Chargers wideout actually left the game versus the Broncos with an ankle injury as well. Now, the Chargers weren't even through the first quarter of Sunday's game against the Broncos before dealing with a shortage of playmakers. Los Angeles wide receiver Quenton Johnson suffered an ankle injury on the first drive of the contest, struggling to get back to his feet after getting tangled up on a catch over the middle. A few drives later, rookie wide receiver Ladd McConkey suffered a head injury, leaving star quarterback Justin Herbert without 2 of his go-to targets. Now, Johnson is questionable to return to Sunday's game against the Broncos with an ankle injury, the team announced. Johnson caught a ball off a drag route early in the first quarter and caught his foot in the turf as Denver's safety Brandon Jones twisted him around for a tackle. Johnson got to his feet and hobbled off the field in clear discomfort. He was carted to the locker room shortly after. The 2023 first-round pick had 2 receptions for 14 yards when he was pulled from the game. He was hoping to have a breakout season, tallying 11 receptions for 142 yards and a career-high 3 touchdowns through the Chargers' first 4 games. Now, getting into the number 1 injury, yes, it is none other than Aidan Hutchinson's injury, which was for the Lions and Cowboys game. Now, the Detroit Lions put a beat down on the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday, but they suffered a significant loss on the defensive side of the ball. Lions star pass rusher Aidan Hutchinson suffered a serious leg injury in the third quarter of Detroit's Week 6 game. It came on a play during which he was sacked and Dak Prescott, but he had his leg bent awkwardly when it hit his teammate Alan McNeil's leg. It was definitely a horrific sight to see, and I won't be showing the footage in today's video, but Hutchinson immediately grabbed his leg when he went to the ground. He ripped his gloves off and remained down as Detroit's medical staff tended to him. The game endured a significant delay as Hutchinson remained down. Eventually, he was carted off the field into the Lions locker room. On top of this, numerous players on both Lions and Cowboys surrounded the cart and gave Hutchinson well wishes before he left the field. The Lions almost immediately ruled Hutchinson out with what the team referred to as a lower leg injury. This was hardly a surprise given the gruesome nature of the star pass rusher's injury. Dan Campbell revealed during his post-game news conference that Hutchinson had suffered a broken tibia. The 4-year coach also announced that the 2023 Pro Bowler is remaining in Dallas to have the injury further evaluated. Campbell added that Hutchinson is in good hands and will be down for a little while, but he stopped short of providing a concrete timeline for the recovery. It's hard when you lose somebody like him, Campbell told reporters, but we'll know a lot more after this, and obviously we wish him the best. Who is Aidan Hutchinson's backup, however? Isaac Ukwu is the top listed backup edge rusher behind Hutchinson. The team also has James Houston on the roster, but he was healthy scratch against the Cowboys. On top of this, when we look further, the Lions were already thin on the edge before Hutchinson's injury because free agent acquisition Marcus Davenport suffered a torn tricep earlier in the season. They are now down to just a couple of healthy edge rushers in Uku and Josh Pascal, with Hutchinson out of action. The Lions will look to shore up their edge depth in the coming weeks, especially with Hutchinson's absence looking like a long one. Hutchinson had 1 sack and 3 quarterback hits against the Cowboys before leaving because of his injury. Now, he entered week 6 with a season high of 6.5 sacks to his name and upped that number to a 7.5 against Dallas. Now, it is still good for the Lions to still get the win against none other than the Dallas Cowboys as well. Now, when it comes to those gruesome injuries, there are also a complete update of the week 6 injuries that we have seen. So obviously the Cardinals, we have mentioned, Marvin Harrison Jr., but also Kazir White actually injured his knee. The linebacker was questionable to return and didn't actually end up returning. So hopefully we hear from him soon. We also have others, Bilal Nichols with a stinger. The Cards defensive tackle was actually ruled out.